Hello everyone, appreciate your time. This is D Shift. Hopefully this message resonate with those who haven't been getting enough sleep. Maybe that's you I'm talking to. Maybe you're the person who says, well, I'm going to substitute a cup of coffee or some energy drinks because I hadn't had a bunch of sleep last night or the night before or the day before if you work night shift. Maybe that's you working at that hospital or in that chemical plant or industrial field, wherever you are that you work. Hopefully this is one that resonates with you. There are parts of the brain that help to manage your emotions when you've had a good night's sleep. You ever hear someone or see someone that are not or in control a lot of time of their emotions? Many things could be the case there, but the one I want to touch up on is a lack of sleep. That's right, folks. So people a lot of time come off as being rude, being a butthole, and many other names that you have worse than the ones that I just said that you have for them when you encounter them on the job, when you encounter them at church or worship, I should say, when you encounter them at a gathering with family, friends, or maybe just out in the public. A lot of that is due to a lack of sleep, right? So let's talk about the job first and foremost, which maybe you just getting off work or you're headed to work or maybe you're on break and you're able to check me out for a few minutes. When you're giving different assignments and different tasks from your director or your manager or your supervisor, it can come off very negatively if you hadn't had a proper rest. That's right. That's something that you're very unaware of. If a question is asked of you, it can come off very strange, very weird, because your brain processes the information, or parts of it, I should say, based on the sleep you have had the night before. And again, there are many other different variables, but we're here focusing right now on sleep. There are some things that we can't um, control. There are things that happen within the family that we can't control, such as sickness, other tragic events, someone else's health. You know, we get bad news about a loved one and we're sad or we take it very negatively. Sometimes we're angry. That's a different story. But we can control the amount of sleep that we get. But sticking back on this part, folks, on the brain has parts in it that helps us in controlling our emotions when you get a proper rest. So again, you may be dealing with certain coworkers or they may be dealing with you, and sometimes they're negative based on what you've said, or because sometimes it's not how you say it, and sometimes it's not what you say, and sometimes it's not when you say it, or vice versa, or when they say it, or how they say it, or what they say, but it's based on how your brain processed that information. Unfortunately, the information could be processed and given back in a negative manner based on the lack of sleep. Have you ever thought about that, folks? That's one that you can fix right there. Now, it could be with a patient that you're dealing with. Patient hadn't done anything wrong, or maybe they have. It could be the patient's family who's continuing to ask for different things or give different comments or suggestions on different things that's going on in his or her room. Well, if you hadn't had a proper sleep, it can be very, very difficult dealing with what that is said or asked of you, folks. You ever thought about that? Let's talk about right now social settings. Maybe you had a birthday party of your loved one or a friend. You hadn't had a good night's sleep. You've been up all night. You woke up at 2 o'clock, couldn't get back to sleep. Or maybe you didn't go to sleep. You've been up all night on the internet, whatever the case may be. And then you go to this social gathering right here. Questions may be asked. Again, whether a birthday party, dinner, baby shower, gathering with family and friends, you name it. The question that is asked could be perceived very, very negatively due to a lack of sleep. The question could be as simple as, where you been hiding at? Or, where you been? Or it can be a joke such as, we sent somebody looking for you. You've been missing in action. You've been MIA. Now, something as simple as that can set someone off if they hadn't had a lack of rest. You ever experienced that? Maybe someone asked you something very, very simple and you took it the wrong way. Well, a big reason for that could be due to our brain not able to process the information in a positive manner, but process it in a negative manner due to lack of rest. Think about that now. What about going to worship? You know, you've been up all night, you hadn't been to bed, you hadn't went to bed until about 3 a.m. You woke up about 7. Maybe you studied your lesson. Maybe if it's somebody you just came in and just sat in on a Bible study and questions are being asked or something that's being said, a lot of times the minister or the messenger could be talking to you indirectly, maybe not talking to you at all, but you feel like that person is talking to you and targeting you. It could be the case, but also the issue is you hadn't had a good night rest. And again, your brain is doing something totally different with that information. Yeah, the messenger could be talking to you, but if you had a good night rest, you could take the information with constructive criticism and be glad that it was said. But no, you hadn't had a good night rest, and so you take it very personal. You take it and you get defensive, all because a lack of sleep. Think about that, folks. Think of how important that is. Think how a cup of coffee cannot replace that. A cup of coffee cannot offset those parts in your brain. Yeah, it'll stimulate you in terms of getting you going for a short period of time, raising your blood pressure for a little bit, possibly, for that caffeine, but not the ability of controlling those emotions, taking in information in a way that it should be taken in, right? So think about that, folks. Questions being asked, tasks being given, comments being given on the job, at the worship service, after church. You know, someone comes up to you and says, where you been? Where you been? I hadn't seen you. The place then fell in now because you came in the door. Jokes being taken in a negative manner, folks. All because you hadn't had a good night's sleep. Hopefully you'll think on that right now. Hopefully this will resonate with you, and I'll get more into detail on those parts of the brain, I should say, but just wanted to put that in your head for a little while. Hopefully that's very encouraging. Please leave me some comments below. Leave me some questions as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And please subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. And then, importantly, share this with friends and family and co-workers.